Hello everyone, in today's discovery, we will be talking about a music legend. Let's start by the night the music stopped. But before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video if you love unraveling high-profile crime stories. This one's about Drake, Gunfire, and a mansion that turned into a war zone. At exactly 2:37 a.m. on May 7, 2024, the silence of Toronto's upscale Bridle Path neighborhood was shattered by a flurry of gunshots. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't a backfiring car. This was deliberate, violent, sharp, echoing like a message carved into the night. Just beyond the wrought iron gate of a $100 million fortress, a man lay bleeding. Not a stranger. Not a trespasser. But the very person hired to protect the man inside. Drake, Canada's most famous son, a global music icon, and lately, a lightning rod in an escalating feud with another hip-hop titan, Prince Will Gordorn. The guard's name was Trevor Shaw, a 42-year-old ex-military contractor who had served 2 tours in Afghanistan before turning to private security. For nearly a decade, Trevor had protected celebrities, dignitaries, and ultra-wealthy clients across North America. But nothing could have prepared him for the war zone that exploded on a street lined with magnolias and Bentleys. Trevor had been pacing by the front gate as he did during all night shifts, alert and discreet, his hand never far from his sidearm. What no one knew, not the neighbors, not even some of Drake's inner circle, was that threats had already been surfacing online in the days before. Hushed warnings from forums. Disturbing DMs. Messages tagged with cryptic symbols. And in the middle of it all, Prince Will Gordorn's surprise track drop. A brutal lyrical takedown of Drake that had the internet ablaze. The feud had started as bars. Now it was bullets. Trevor's walkie crackled. It was Jamal, the tech operator, monitoring the mansion's thermal cams. There's movement near the hedges. Southeast corner. Not the usual route. Trevor responded calmly. I see it. But he didn't. Not clearly. Because the next second, everything blurred. A black SUV, headlights off, rolled silently down Park Lane Circle. As it approached, a rear window dropped. Muzzle flashes sparked. And then, crack, crack, crack. The first bullet tore through the front gate's metal trim, splintering it. The second hit the reinforced front door with a muted thud. The third found its mark, Trevor's upper thigh, sending him collapsing to the concrete with a sickening thump. Inside the mansion, Drake's house systems lit up. Panic alerts triggered across silent alarms. Floodlights activated. The camera system captured a fast blur of the SUV speeding away into darkness. Meanwhile, Trevor's training kicked in. Bleeding profusely, he pressed against the wound and radioed in. Code red. Guard down. Shot fired. Suspect fleeing in dark SUV. I repeat, guard down. Drake's head of security, Marv Ellis, had been in the safe room on a routine systems check. When the call came in, he sprinted out, heart pounding, and made it to Trevor in 30 seconds. He saw the wound, the shattered glass, the dark smear across the pavement. Within minutes, Toronto PD and emergency services were en route. Drake, who may or may not have been home, the detail is still shrouded in conflicting reports, allegedly emerged from an interior room as Marv and 2 team members carried Trevor inside. But this was no random attack. As detectives scoured the scene, they found something chilling. A folded paper wedged beneath the cracked gate hinge. It bore no return address. Just a printed phrase. This is your final chorus. And it? What did it mean? Who left it? And most terrifying of all, was this only the beginning? Stay with us, because we will dig into the real feud that set this all in motion, and the alarming pattern of events that followed. A tunnel beneath the fence. A man caught on camera shouting threats. And an entire neighborhood suddenly paralyzed by what was no longer just music drama, but a full-blown security crisis. This is where the whispers become screams, and the hidden truth behind the gate begins to leak out. Like this video if you're still with us. Comment if you think this was random, or revenge. And subscribe, because we just begin and it changes everything. Please hit subscription button and drop your theories in the comments, because what happened after the shooting is more disturbing than anyone imagined. When paramedics rushed Trevor Shaw from the blood-stained concrete, most believed the worst was over. The bullets were gone, the suspect vehicle vanished, and the elite Bridle Path neighborhood had been flooded with flashing red and blue lights. The gate was reinforced. The cameras reviewed. But Drake's world? It was just beginning to unravel. Less than 48 hours after the drive-by that nearly killed his security guard, a second security breach rocked the estate, one that would terrify even Drake himself. At 3:12 a.m. on May 9th, motion sensors flared in the south quadrant of the compound. What security found when they reviewed the footage was surreal. An individual had dug under the perimeter fence. A fully grown adult man who crawled on elbows and knees through a narrow trench hidden behind hedges. He was inside. Wearing dark clothing, the intruder crept toward the pool area, paused near the back terrace, and appeared to be talking to someone or something. No weapon was visible. But he held a small object in his hand, something shimmering briefly under infrared. A chain, possibly a pendant, swinging erratically. "This is just the beginning," he whispered as captured by a nearby mic boom. "Tell Aubrey it's his turn now." By the time guards reached him, he had vanished into the thickets at the rear boundary. All they found was the chain, later confirmed to match merchandise worn by a known associate of Prince Will Gordorn's street team. Whether it was left intentionally or dropped during escape, no one could say. But for investigators, this was now more than a celebrity spat. This was escalation. Intimidation, possibly even attempted assassination. Toronto police opened an extended surveillance campaign in the area. The media hadn't yet caught on, but behind the gates of Drake's mansion, fear had replaced luxury. Doors that once echoed with beats and laughter now sounded more like panic rooms. Every camera red-flagged. Every knock double-checked. And yet, the attacks kept coming. On May 11th, just 2 nights later, another man attempted to breach the property, not from the woods, not from a car, but on foot. This time it wasn't stealth. It was chaos. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the suspect charged the side gate, yelling Drake's full name, Aubrey Drake Graham, and calling him a false prophet and fraud. It took 4 guards to restrain him. He was later described as mentally disturbed. But when searched, they found a phone containing dozens of saved audio clips, alleged unreleased tracks from both Drake and Prince Will Gordorn, some laced with disturbing reversed messages. Was it obsession? Was he a pawn? Or was someone sending Drake a signal in broad daylight? "Y'all think this is music beef," one fan tweeted that night, "but this is a war over legacy, power, and silence. Someone's trying to break Drake, or worse." By now, whispers inside OVO's inner circle had turned to outright fear. Multiple staffers allegedly took leave. Studio sessions were canceled. According to court filings later reported in the Washington Post, Drake filed a private legal claim against Universal Music Group, alleging failure to provide adequate artist protection during escalating threats. What wasn't revealed publicly, but insiders later confirmed, was that Drake had been receiving encrypted emails warning him to cancel upcoming appearances. "You know what happened to the guard?" one message read. "Don't make us come back." The FBI was notified, but jurisdictional constraints limited their action. Canada's RCMP joined the investigation quietly, linking the shooting to a digital trail of hate forums, burner IPs, and possible third-party actors influenced by online instigation. And Prince Will? Silent. Not a single post. Not a single mention of the incident. But then something broke the silence. A leaked voicemail. A journalist from Rap Insider Canada received an anonymous tip. A short voicemail allegedly pulled from a hacked phone near the crime scene. The voice, digitally distorted, simply said, "When the gate falls, the throne will too." Cryptic? Absolutely. But it sent fans and theorists into overdrive. Some claimed it hinted at a larger industry takedown. Others insisted it was a symbolic nod to the fall of empires, and Drake being the king of mainstream rap. But here's the question you have to ask. Was this about Prince Will at all, or was that just a distraction for something deeper, darker, and more organized? Because, as we'll uncover, a shocking revelation from hospital logs, and a pattern of attacks eerily similar to this, began to emerge. From LA to Miami to Toronto, other artists had received similar threats in recent years. Some dismissed them. Others disappeared from the spotlight entirely. We connect the dots no one else will. From coded warnings to hidden connections between industry execs and security contractors, this story isn't just about Drake. It's about control, secrets, and what happens when fame becomes too dangerous to protect. May 12, 2024. 5 days after the near-fatal drive-by, the front gates of Drake's mansion remained scarred with bullet holes. The media finally caught up to the chaos unfolding in the Bridle path. Headlines blared. Gunfire at Drake's estate. Security compromised amid music feud. Gordorn versus Drake. Has the beef gone too far? But the truth? It was way beyond rap battles and lyrical jabs. Hospital records from Sunnybrook, where Trevor Shaw was treated, revealed something police never wanted leaked. The bullet pulled from Trevor's leg did not match any common street firearm. In fact, it matched a rare caliber used primarily by military contractors. Let that sink in. Someone wasn't just trying to scare Drake. Someone had access to black market weaponry, strategy, and information about the mansion's perimeter timing. The shooter knew when the guards would rotate, knew where the blind spots were, knew when Trevor would walk the perimeter alone. That's not music beef, that's an inside job. But here's where things get even more disturbing. Similar shootings had occurred at other artists' homes in the past 3 years. Small-time singers, rising producers. A few got coverage. Most didn't. One had moved to a remote area of Alberta. Another vanished from social media completely. A third, a rising R&B star from Atlanta, was found dead in his studio. Officially ruled a suicide, but with missing surveillance footage. And guess what all of them had in common? They were signed or previously connected to major label umbrellas under the same conglomerate, Universal Music Group. Let that chill your spine. Drake's private lawsuit against UMG wasn't just about artist protection. According to leaked court documents, the real allegations included intentional neglect of high-level threats, failure to increase security despite digital warnings, and worst of all, potential knowledge of imminent danger. Now let's ask the million-dollar question. Why was the bulletproof glass order for Drake's front door delayed by 3 weeks? By the very people managing his property. Drake's legal team refused to comment, but sources say he immediately replaced his estate's management company after the incident. He also added armed ex-military personnel to his protection detail. No more celebrity-grade guards, this was now war-zone-level defense. But Drake himself? Still completely silent. No interviews. No social media mentions. No statements. He canceled 2 public events, one in Vegas, one in Houston, and then disappeared for 10 days. When he re-emerged, it was at an OVO-hosted private event, where he reportedly told close friends, "I've said enough in my music. Now they'll have to figure it out without me." Fans tried to decode the message. Was he backing away from the fight? Or warning us that we didn't know the half of it? What we do know is this: the attack on his mansion was premeditated, precise, and personal. And even after the shooter vanished, the threats kept coming. According to a report by City News Toronto, a final envelope was found slipped under the gate 2 weeks later. Inside was a USB drive, with one audio file 7 seconds long. It played only one sentence masked in static. "It's not over. He still owes us." To this day, the meaning of that message remains unknown. Drake has never acknowledged the shooting publicly. Trevor Shaw, The security guard who nearly died doing his job left the city. He reportedly relocated to British Columbia under an assumed name and hasn't spoken to press since. But one thing is certain. This wasn't random. This wasn't a fan gone wild. This was organized, and whoever's behind it hasn't been caught. Before you go, ask yourself this. If Drake, one of the most powerful protected artists in the world, can be targeted like this, who's really pulling the strings behind the music industry's walls? Don't let this story disappear into silence. Like this video if you think there's more to the industry than we see. Comment below. Do you believe this was bigger than a rap beef? Subscribe to Daily Crime Discoveries, because soon enough, we're digging into the chilling case of another artist who went quiet right before vanishing altogether. Turn on notifications, because the deeper we dig, the darker it gets. And as always, stay curious, stay safe.